Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Climate Protection Working Group meeting for Tuesday, January the 14th, 2025. Happy New Year. And we will start with our land acknowledgement. On Tuesday, January 14th, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Okay, so we'll start with the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? Peter.
Just, Madam Chair, just to acknowledge those who have sent regrets so that it's in the minutes.
Okay.
Or anybody watching.
Okay, so we have regrets from, who sent regrets? Sue?
Sue,
Mayor
Sean, Mayor Pankow rather, and
those are the confirmed ones.
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the confirmed ones.
Do you have any additions?
No.
Okay. Perfect. So recommend the motion to approve the minutes the agenda, moved by Peter, seconded by Linda. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes from December 10th. Were there any amendments to the minutes? Peter?
No amendments, but I just want to thank Marie for the job. It was a long meeting
Yes.
and did a great job getting the minutes
All
together.
right, yes, that was all.
Thank you, Marie. I read them over this morning and I was
I
like,
echo that.
oh, okay. Good. Okay, I'll recommend the motion to approve the minutes from December 10th, moved by Peter, seconded by Linda. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay, is there any disclosure of monetary interest? None noted. And we'll move on to priority issues. The first issue is just an issue that I brought forward just this morning, so thanks, Marie, for getting it on the agenda. I have accepted a new term position at the health unit, and so in doing so, I'm going to respectfully step down from the role of chair here at this committee. I still want to be connected to the committee and stay on the committee until whoever takes my position comes on board, and I'm not sure exactly when that will be, but it appears that we are filling positions, so I'm hoping it's not too long, but I'm committed to staying on this committee as long as I need to. So at this point, typically, do people have to put forward nominations for a chair, or do we just simply have a discussion? How does it typically work?
Well, that's one of the roles of the vice chair
Oh, okay.
is to step up until a more permanent. So
Okay.
we don't need to, maybe when everybody's back.
Okay.
But I, in my role as vice chair, could step in until till when everybody's here and see if there's interest from others.
Okay.
But I'm happy to take over.
Okay.
Not in this meeting,
No.
But,
In February.
in February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put it on the agenda for next
We
item.
can put it on, and if there's no other interest, then it's not. The staff are terrific to
Yes.
help. So
Absolutely.
Should be fine.
Okay.
we'll be fine in the short term, and when everybody's back, if we can have the discussion again.
That sounds good. Okay, so we'll put it on for I can't remember the date. What is it? February
11th.
11th
Yeah.
agenda? Okay. Thank you, Peter. Okay, and that looks like we're right on to project updates. Richard with the CAP Milestone 2 survey update.
Yes. So the public engagement survey for Milestone 2, the whole intent of the survey was to assess public interest in a climate action plan and any of the proposed emission reduction initiatives, such as a green waste bin waste reduction program or any sort of retrofitting program. So far, we've only had 32 survey responses. It's going to be closing at the end of the month. And by next meeting, we'll have a what we heard report that sort of gives a breakdown for the results and sort of the next steps that was happening. Yeah. So
Are those all electronic?
yeah, they're all electronic. We didn't get any paper copies. So we'll see where people were getting their I guess their notifications for the survey from, and we'll kind of do a full assessment for the next meeting. Yeah. Do you have any questions or no?
Just wondering if there's a way we can boost engagement a little bit.
Yeah, we reached out to
A
the
little bit more.
schools. I know it's only we reached out to the schools, so we reached out to the high school. So hopefully that will give us some more engagements. We do our regular notices in the paper, and we do the social media posting. So we're still doing, I guess, our traditional methodology. So we'll see if it's doing anything more. We'll have to, I guess, reassess how to reach more people in the future when there's another survey that goes out or another public engagement opportunity that we have. Yeah.
Just, we have the two new student representative on council. One is the co-chair of student council. Riker,
Right.
and he
Was that
made,
recent?
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
so Riker and Rory, Riker and Ryan.
Oh,
So Riker is on council and Ryan is very active in student affairs. So I think if,
Madam Chair,
Yes. Peter?
because many of the students in the St. Paul's in Perth actually are from Smith Falls. So that if you are looking for residents in Smith Falls or young people, that may be another school that we could approach.
Okay, good suggestion, thank you. St. John's.
so anyways, Carrie has the contact information for the two student reps.
well, so the thing is, like for the new year, I was thinking that the committee would be a lot more proactive. So engaging with other organizations that do the kind of work we're promoting, and also with the school and the hospital, kind of just makes it a lot more well-rounded. So I don't want to wait till we have an action plan to get them on board. So reaching out to the school, setting up that formal relationship is something that we're trying to do internally. So it's going to happen.
Sorry, I can't. Was there a QR code?
Yes.
Yes.
There was a QR code on the poster that I distributed. Yeah, so it's easy to find the information. Yeah.
And has Sue's, is it the Climate Network, Lanark or Climate?
CNL.
CNL.
Yes.
I did get that right.
Mhm.
Has she promoted it through, because I know it's
I
broader than just this falls, but there might be.
I circulated it to her.
Okay,
I want to
perfect.
believe that she did something with it,
Yeah.
but I haven't actually confirmed that.
Okay.
But I believe she did something. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll get an update next meeting. In return, in regards to the climate action plan, so the next step right now is that we're looking at finalizing an RFQ, so request for quotation, that will go out to any interested party to apply for the consultant position to help us do that sort of assessment. Yeah, so that's going out at the end of the month. After that, I guess the next thing you have the survey report from me. And then once we, down the road, obviously accept the targets that we're proposing, that requires a council endorsement. So there'll be a council report on that as well. In terms of milestone 3, right now we're looking at drafting our sustainability goals and initiatives. So the idea is that we have like a big, I guess, a range of goals that we want to achieve going forward for the next 10 years. So we're kind of creating a bit of a repository for that. And it would be something that would be incorporated into the final review of the climate action plan. So the goal is that we start doing the selection of viable options for the community as well as the corporate side, and then we kind of pull it together near the end. And there will be obviously a climate action plan outline and a council report on the draft climate action plan when it is completed. So the idea here is that with the climate action plan, there's like 2 main components. There's obviously the emission goals that we're selecting for the corporate and the community. And once we have those 2 emission reduction targets, then we have a list of activities or strategies to reduce those emissions to get to that goal. So if we write the goals out now, and then we have a consultant at some point determine the target, we have the 2 important ingredients to finalize the climate action plan. And then to finalize it formally, we'll need it to be obviously circulated, and we have to discuss implementation and monitoring as well. So that's what are the next steps to work on refining the goals that we have. So you won't get it in this next meeting, but in March you'll have a full list of like all the sort of goals that the community as well as the corporation are looking at.
That was my
That was
question.
my
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you'll get the full draft at the end. What I've been kind of toying with is to, when it comes to the community side, how do we sort of like flesh out what we think the community can take part in and what they would like to see. Obviously, the survey results would give us some indication, but I think a workshop is a bit more face-to-face for me, and I think that'd be, I guess, another way of us getting people to come out.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah. Some sort of public engagement that's not just a survey, something a little bit more meatier.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I don't know if anyone has any questions for me. Any
Peter,
questions, Peter? No?
Yeah.
Okay. And the next project update would be the grant monitoring. So one of the grants that we're looking at is called Climate Ready Plans and Processes. It is a grant that is put up by FCM. And essentially the maximum award is $140,000. It's dependent on the population, so the municipality's population size. And the idea is that it works on adaptation plan and climate-focused assessment management strategies. So right now, our climate action plan is looking a lot at mitigation. And of course, we're going to try our best to implement some adaptation. But at some point, I think if we do a climate risk assessment, we're better yet able to include those sort of recommendations in a future draft of the climate action plan. Because we haven't done a full assessment, so we can do a best guess as to areas that we think we can improve. But this will be a lot more granular and give us a lot more specificity to Smith Falls itself. So having us apply for this grant and hopefully getting it allows us to be much closer to doing that sort of climate assessment.
Peter?
So could you just talk a little bit more about the risk assessment? So we understand weather and extreme weather is one of the risks.
Yes.
But this might go, so what if we're hit with a tornado or floods or fire? What would happen? And then what others are we not? Those are the obvious. And then the risk assessment would try to identify any risk.
So how I understand it, yes, it looks at the obvious, like what are the natural acts of God that can kind of wipe Smith Falls off the face of the earth, and how do we minimize those potential things, like say a forest fire, right? So it looks at things like that, but also looks at a lot of our climate goals. So really, it would just be mirroring a lot of these, I guess, our mitigation efforts into the climate risk assessment. It's just a more richer perspective, really. Because right now we're looking at more energy conservation and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, not so much, building more trees so that we create a buffer here or something like that. So it's a different perspective, I think, that kind of would enhance the climate action plan.
And would we do that even if we didn't get the grant?
We would, but this just allows us to actually focus specifically on that. Because what I'm noticing now is that the grants that are out here are looking at adaptation, not so much mitigation. So in terms of being eligible for certain things, even though we're working on a climate action plan, because it's not specifically focused on, say, the adaptation because we haven't done the assessment, we're not sometimes eligible. So this allows us to be eligible by looking at adaptation. So my idea is that if we apply for it and we do the assessment, we can just tie that back into a future update to the climate action plan. I don't think it would affect our reduction target goal or overall goals. It just kind of provides us another way of being more resilient. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think that will tie in really nicely with the health unit's climate change, health and vulnerability assessment that they're almost finished now, that you're going to hear about next month. Because that's exactly what they're looking at. Now, it likely won't drill down specific to Smith Falls, but it's definitely at a county level. I could be wrong on that. They might be able to drill down to municipalities, but I believe it's at the county level. So they will be able to identify what are the risks, what are those hazards in our area. So I think that'll go really nicely if there's some funding to support that.
So, and then will it go into then what populations are particularly at risk? And it wouldn't take much then to extrapolate into Smith Falls because we know because we know we have a vulnerable population living here. So, all right.
Yeah. So
we could do some if it's not right there, it wouldn't take much to, on our own to, okay.
Yeah, I agree, especially with some of the other ones that are like, our older adult population, like that's, increasing across the board as well. So like there are some those equity deserving populations that will definitely come out in the report. And then you can layer that with exactly like your own specific municipal demographics and come up with a pretty clear picture of who's most vulnerable
I like that.
to climate change. So, and then that's where we can help support what are some strategies from like looking through that equity lens, which will probably be my new role that I'll be in. So see,
Very
I'm not going really
interesting.
anywhere.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that would be a good way to add the equity lens into it too. I know the Climate Action Plan looks at equity, but abstractly in a sense, where it's kind of for everyone, but they're not really looking at, I guess, the most deserving. So that is interesting.
Because it's one thing to say, okay, in heat, do X, Y, or Z, but if you can't afford air conditioning, or there's definitely some barriers for people. So it's sort of identifying what the hazards are, who the people are, and making a plan to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. So yeah, that's great. And it would be great if there's money.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, even better.
Yeah, so the deadline, it hasn't opened yet, but I think they're kind of forecasting that to be open sometime this year. So when it's open, we'll try to take advantage. So, yeah. And moving on to roundtable items. Yeah, I know.
Went through this today. Okay, we'll go on to roundtable updates. Peter, do you want to go first?
Yeah, we have hired a program manager for the Rideau Eco Literature Center. So we're pushing straight ahead and hopefully be able to create a younger population that is versed in sustainability issues and great citizens. And
That's great.
Smith Falls is part of that group, together with Perth, and Canfield, Merrickville, Rideau Lakes, as well as Westport. Those are the communities involved. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Peter. Any questions for Peter? Linda, do you have any roundtable updates?
I don't have anything, I'm sorry to say.
That's okay. That's all right.
I'm new, so I'm just kind of like taking baby
Yeah,
steps, eh?
That's
Like,
okay.
yeah, no.
Oh, that's okay. I can do the update for the Atlantic County one if you want.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, unless you have something.
Well, no, I can go after you too.
Yeah, so Sue just wanted to bring it to attention that Atlantic County,
Right.
they meet regularly. They have a work plan for their climate action plan, which is something that we would have eventually. A lot of these things I think are sort of suitable for everyone, but I think they're just specific to their overarching plan. Because I think we also want to create a climate conscious community, which is part of their goals. Looking at it, they have something called community climate plans. So Atlantic County, when they're looking at creating a climate conscious community, they're looking at updating the grants policy to include climate-related projects. So that's one thing that they're looking at doing. They're looking at creating a corporate energy savings campaign, and they're looking at launching a specialized corporate recycling program.
That's Lanark County?
It's Lanark County. Yeah, so essentially the Lanark County for their work plan, they have 8 priority items that they are looking at focusing on specifically. As in, I think for the climate action plan, all the goals are important, but then there are ones that need to happen first. So they've kind of isolated the 8 important ones and kind of generally outlined the climate budget implications as well as, I guess, the details here. But that's all I have in terms of your update from the county. Yeah.
So a couple of things. Last night at Committee of the Whole, Council awarded a contract for to develop a long-term master plan to handle our waste. So the waste that we get picked up off the side of the road, we'll look at green bins and we'll look at
So
whether
like a
we should
municipal service?
tag, public works. Director McMahon brought it forward. So that will start, I don't know, in the next couple of months. They've hired the company to do the long-term plan. And so, like, where are we going with our waste and recycling management over the next 10? It's not what will we do next week, but what's the vision? So
So
that, I think, ties in to our work, I hope.
It does. In terms of, like, I guess, any sort of retrofitting they're doing on the the waste treatment side, or whether or not they look into getting a green bin program, for example.
Right.
Because they would be the ones operationalizing it, really.
The other is my other update. So I don't know if there's any action we want to take other than ask you to reach out to when the consultant's hired, there'll probably be a consultation.
That's kind of what I'm
I'd like to
thinking.
make sure that they've got a climate lens when they're doing their plan, the long-term master plan.
Yeah, I can reach out to Paul and ask if they're looking at having that climate lens perspective incorporated and how they would like to do that. I don't know if it would be simple as having one person from this committee being on a steering committee, or if it's going to be give us comments on our final draft or something, or draft comments. I don't know.
It's a staff-led initiative, so I don't know if in public meetings or.
Fair.
Yeah.
A question for Peter. When we talk about the long-term waste reduction plan, was biochar as a means to reduce waste being included?
Yes, they're not only looking at curbside waste, but they're looking at yard waste and brush as well. So,
And that, for that particular part, was biochar included as a means to minimize that?
well, there's no plan yet. Yeah, they're developing, this company's hired now to develop it, but they haven't started yet, Peter. So,
Okay, because that should be part of the strategy. Otherwise, it addresses two things, like the carbon emission reduction, as well as waste, and as well as we could even get some carbon credits for that in terms of funding.
Interesting.
Yeah,
We should make sure that is included.
so when
I could reach out and bring
when
it up.
Richard reaches out to Paul, he'll make sure that those are included, and maybe when the consultants get hired, the company's been selected. I don't know if they've been contacted, so it happened last night.
Oh,
Well, I'll reach out and I'll ask and I'll provide an update if I have one for the next meeting.
The other update that I had was that the 3 health units have actually merged on January 1st. So I'd be curious as one of the board members going forward with them to see what the other health units are doing around climate action. And I'm not suggesting that there'll be one master plan anytime soon. But as long as they're doing something, maybe we can learn from them.
absolutely.
Okay.
That's at the governance level. And finally, council is in the middle of the 2025 budget. So it was good to see Leonard County actually set aside $200,000 and just that they've costed out some of the initiatives.
Yep.
And I don't know if we have a placeholder in the 2025 budget for the climate action work group.
No, not to my knowledge. I don't. I can talk to.
Should I've read it. I'll have to go back and look to Richard.
I'll talk to Carl. Carl didn't. Anyways, we'll have this conversation off camera. But yeah, I'll talk to Carl and get more details on that.
Because it'll be finalized February 18th. And if we want to spend any of town's money on anything, we should put some request in if it's not already there.
Yeah, and we'll have this off camera. But yeah.
All right. That's my roundtable.
Marie, did you have anything?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I don't really have anything. Peter stole my thunder. I'm just kidding. Yes, the health unit has merged. We are now the Southeast Health Unit, formerly the Leeds Grenville Leonard District Health Unit.
Hey.
So things are starting to move forward with that, and I'm glad you brought up the climate change Peter. So in anticipation of this merger, our health unit, along with Kingston and Hastings, are working collaboratively on the climate change health, vulnerability health assessment. So that's great. They're already sort of aligned in that manner. But yeah, I could see moving forward, there might even be more synergies in other parts of climate change. So that's good. That's about it for me.
Yeah, I have another thing. So I wanted to, for anything like the health unit or I guess CNL, but Sue's not here, any other sort of like group outside that does environmental work, I want to do more promo. So if you have anything that happens in terms of events or workshops, just let us know before the next meeting. So after this meeting, up until the end of the month, give us updates that you would like us to promote at the top of the next meeting. So we just sort of have more cross promotion from the town for any sort of environmental project or thing you're looking at.
That's good.
Madam Chair, in terms of promotion, maybe Pedal Fest would be another good location to promote what the committee is doing. And most likely that will happen on Saturday, June the 14th. Let me just take the calendar, it's 14 or 15, yeah.
Real.
Yeah, it's June 14th, Saturday. Week
Okay.
before Powwow. Right. At Lower Ridge Park, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do more promo for that specifically closer to the date, Peter. But this is definitely something to keep in mind so that we sort of just have more awareness.
Okay. If that's all for today,
Yeah, I think so.
I'll recommend a motion to adjourn the Climate Protection Working Group meeting at 2:33. Moved by Linda, seconded by Peter. All in favor? Motion carried. Bye, Peter.
Bye-bye. It was a short meeting.
Very short.
Nothing wrong with our meeting, okay? Nothing wrong.
Have a great one.
Bye, Peter.
Bye-bye.
I'll just
Bye-bye.
I'll just let Tech know we're done.
Okay.
The last one was twice as long.
Yeah, we had to
Half as
make up for it.
all balances.
I thought so too. I was like, I don't really want to stack the agenda too much today.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let, we're still live, so just hang on a sec.
I won't say anything.
Steve.
Sorry.
We're just oh no.
You're just wrapping up?
Yeah.
Like the number.
We're still live, so
I
I
got caught up in a
just,
meeting and I couldn't get out.
Yeah, this is one of those short meetings.
Well, it's
Wow,
nice to see you.
Nice to see you all. Wow. What time did the meeting start at?
too.
Did it too, but we're a smaller group today, and I
You're
think.
very efficient.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Yep.
still live, so hang on
A
just
second,
a
whatever
second.
motion, whatever. All right, sorry about that, everyone.
No, that's okay. We're just still.
Happy New
we
Year.
just finished, but we're still live, so that's why we're not really chatting.
Yeah, we're
Oh.
just waiting until the camera's off.
Anything exciting?
Yes. So the mouse